Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to learn something called try and catch, and this is one of the Java functions that is pretty useful to use when we do automation testing. So for example, if we have a test case that fails, if we have a failure, our code will actually stop working. So to avoid that, we need to do something called try and catch, which means we want to try it, and if it fails, we'll catch it and do something else, or just catch it and just print the exception, and then go to the next thing. So what I'm going to do is actually have some failure, and I'll show you with a try and catch what will happen, and without a try and catch what will happen. So let's actually get started. So I'm going to learnitbro.com, and let's say I want to click driver.findElements. I'm going to do by XPath or by CSS selector, and I'm going to put some random thing, 1, 2, 3, right? And I'm going to do that click like that. And in my page there's nothing called 1, 2, 3, so this will definitely fail. And then after that it should wait for 2 seconds, or actually let's put the 2 seconds right there. And then after that, it's supposed to test for my getting the title, which we learned from the last time. And I'm actually going to do this one as it should be. So technically, I should have a path in here. But let's see what actually will happen. So if I give it a run, it's going to go to the page. And you'll get an actual error over here. And go to the page. But we got an error, and actually what we had over there was never ran because the code actually crashed at this point. So code crashed at this point because it was not able to click. And if you actually look at the error, it will tell you invalid selector, and it was going to give you a lot of stuff. Not too much. An invalid or an illegal selector was specified. So to avoid that, because sometimes pages don't load properly, and that's the point of testing. We're testing if the pages load properly or not, and if the functions are doing what they're supposed to do. So the best thing to do is put your code in a try and catch. There's frameworks that does that for you, but if you're not using any framework, you can use a try and catch. So let's actually do so. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do try. And then I'm going to close this, and I'm going to write catch on a different line, or same line, or whatever really matter. Catch. And inside of that catch, I'm going to put 2 parentheses. I'm going to write exception, and then give it the letter E. And then I'm going to close this exception. And what I'm also going to do is do system.out.println, and we can actually print that exception. So what this will actually do, and let's actually do that, or we could do this whole thing like that if we want to make it look nicer, but it's really your call. So we're going to do this clicking, which wouldn't do anything actually, and it's going to get catched, and this exception is just a general exception. What you could do, you can actually do certain different type of exceptions. So for example, this is an invalid selector exception. What you could do actually is copy this and put this in here, and that would be an invalid. I think you will probably have to import it. Yeah. But if you want to do a general exception, you can also do that too, and you can have multiple, by the way. You don't actually just have to have one. You can actually do something around these lines. We put this kind of line. I don't actually know what is it called. And then you put this, and then you actually do import. So you will actually have 2 of them instead of 1. And for my exception, actually, I just want to print what kind of exception that what kind of exception that happens. So it tells me in the log file. If I create a log file later on, I want to see what actually happened. And you can also do e.print like this. This will also print a stack trace and what line exactly it failed and all of that. This is your personal preference. I'm not a really big fan. Unless I'm in debug mode, I will use that. But it gives you too much log. And if I'm trying to debug, sometimes I get confused. But you can also use that as well. So let's actually go back. So if I run it now, it will fail. It will give me the failure. But it will actually do the next thing, which is checking the page loaded or not, and it actually did. And here it did print me that it's an invalid selector exception, and it told me what actually failed. But at the end, it did go through and the code didn't crash. So in here, code did not crash. And it actually went and proceeded with the next piece of code. I know that was a little bit long tutorial, but it was necessary so you guys understand the aspect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have any questions. And don't forget to subscribe and like my videos as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.